Hello, it's Mark here from Yokel Bear Reads. I'm doing an impromptu mini book haul today because I was in London yesterday. It was London Pride, but unfortunately I wasn't at Pride because I was at a kind of work conference. But I did manage to get to a couple of bookshops. It being Pride and the fact that this conference that I was at was very, very near to Gaze the Word Bookshop, as in Gaze the Word Bookshop, the bookshop that was you would have seen in the film Pride. Yes, just down the road. So I thought, well, I can't pass up that opportunity. Didn't have long in there, unfortunately, so I only picked up a couple of things. The first thing I picked up was Speak My Language and Other Short Stories, a collection of short stories by some fairly well-known gay male authors and some less well-known. So you've got stories in here by people like Patrick Gale, Damien Barr, Francis King, Felice Picano, and Michael Carroll, Royston Ellis. So quite a few well-known writers. It's specifically a short story collection about the experience of gay men. So it's all gay men that have written this. As it says on the back, it's an outstanding new collection of short stories by writers who imagine and explore and reveal aspects of gay life from a multitude of perspectives, ages, eras, locations, cultures, and political climates. What really made me pick this up was the fact that it was promising so many diverse things. Apparently there's science fiction in here, fantasy, love stories, maybe a little bit of horror. I don't know. But I'm quite into short stories at the moment. I never used to be, but I seem to be picking up more and more collections of short stories. I don't know whether that's my attention span is dwindling. I don't know. But I'm kind of quite enjoying short stories at the moment. The second one that I got is again short stories, but by one author. The complete short stories of James Purdy. Now, James Purdy is a name that's come up. He's not an author I've ever read. He was apparently around in the kind of 40s, 50s, 60s. And I just keep seeing his name crop up. People recommend saying, have you read any James Purdy? I saw that John Waters has raved about his writing. And in fact, he does the introduction in this American collection. All I know is that James Purdy can be a bit of a dark writer. Some of these stories are apparently quite twisted, quite dark, and I love a bit of that. So I'm going to plough into this, not really knowing what to expect, but I'm hoping for good things. Now, Gaze the Word Bookshop is, as I said, it was made famous in the film Pride, or made, people were aware. It was famous anyway. I mean, certainly amongst the LGBTQI community. It's a bookshop that's been around for at least 3 decades. I love this shop because I think for an LGBTQI bookshop to have survived that long through some really difficult times and really difficult political times in the UK, I think that's absolutely great. I've also got a bit of a story about it as well, which is my first ever boyfriend dumped me outside Gaze the Word Bookshop in London. We'd been dating for a little while, and actually I'll put this book down, and it was, as you saw in the film Pride, this was during 1984, so many decades ago, and there were people outside of Gaze the Word Bookshop because we went for a date, and so we said let's go to London. We weren't living in London at the time, and I said, can we go to Gaze the Word Bookshop because I've never been. So he said yes, but outside there were people collecting for the campaign Lesbian and Gay Support the Minors, and so I put some money in because I think, being a decent kind of person, I was supporting the miners, as were a lot of people in the country. Well, my boyfriend was appalled. Turns out he was a. We didn't really share the same politics, but I didn't know this. And he was so appalled that I'd given this money, he literally dumped me there and then and stalked off. Which was a little bit upsetting. But then again, in retrospect, I think within a couple of days I'd realised, well, actually, maybe this is a lucky escape. And, you know, I stood by my decision to support this campaign. And also I went into Gaze the Wood bookshop for the first time and bought some books. So that was great. I mean, okay, I went home without a boyfriend, but I came home with lots of really good books. So Gaze the Wood, yeah, I think it's a superb bookshop. If you're in London, go visit it. The other place that I went to get some books is one of the 4 bookshops that I love most in this country, in the UK, and that is Gaze the Wood bookshop. I also love Foyles in Charing Cross Road. I'm a big fan of Foyles. I like the little ones dotted around the country, but the one in Charing Cross Road is just amazing. So many books, so many good booksellers, so many good recommendations. The third one is a little out-of-the-way bookshop. It is absolutely beautiful, called Mr. B's Emporium of Reading Delights, which is the best name for a bookshop ever, and that's in Bath in the West Country, so only about 10 minutes up the road from where I live. So yeah, I love that. But there's another one that I love, which is the British Library itself. You know, famous academic institution, probably has just about every book ever published. People go there to do research and stuff like that, but they've also got a bookshop attached to it where you can buy books, and I always like to go in there and look around because it's great. I always pick up some really interesting stuff there. And the first thing that I picked up is this absolutely beautiful edition of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. As you can see, it's got an elasticated thing to hold the cover together. It's absolutely beautifully designed cover. And this apparently is the full Leaves of Grass, because Walt Whitman kept adding to it throughout his life. He started off by publishing, I think it was initially 12 poems, but then in future editions he just kept adding more and more, and this is all of them. I have a bit of a strange relationship with poetry. I think, and controversial opinion coming up, I think about 60% of most poetry is just bollocks, basically. It's terrible. But then again, there's about 40% that's absolutely brilliant. So most poetry I don't really get on with. I don't read a lot of it, but Walt Whitman I absolutely love. His descriptions, the things he talks about life and bodies and sexuality and death, and also as well, for a gay man like me, I mean, Walt Whitman's filthy. You know, it's couched in very 19th century terms, but this is kind of filth. I love it. So yeah, this is an absolutely beautiful edition. As you can see, the page, the quality of the pages and the paper, it's absolutely brilliant. So I was really happy to pick that one up. Also because I lent out my old copy of Leaves of Grass, and I don't know who I lent it to, and I never got it back. And the final thing that I got, which is a lovely little book, published by the National Trust, which is an organised, for those outside the UK, the National Trust is an organisation that kind of looks after country houses, parks, castles, looks after their upkeep. And they also publish some books sometimes. And this is A Treasury of British Folklore by D.D. Cheney. Now, D.D. Cheney is the person who started the hashtag Folklore Thursday on Twitter, which is absolutely fascinating, where people post about folklore, folk tales, fairy stories, superstitions, that kind of stuff. And that hashtag is always really fascinating to read every Thursday. But D.D. Cheney has written this kind of a bit of a compilation of, I guess you kind of a best of British folklore. As she says, and I read the introduction on the train on the way back from London, as she said, British folklore is there's so much of it, you can't really do it in justice in one book. But this is kind of gives you a flavour. So there's stuff in here about Cornish pixies, stone circles, tales of giants, but also about the kind of the festival days and rituals that have survived in Britain, Morris dancing, mumming plays and stuff like that. And I love a bit of folklore because I think folklore is a really kind of pure form of stories. And I love the fact that it's not published. Well, I mean, it is published because people publish books about it. But folklore, in its purest terms, is people telling each other stories. And I think that's wonderful. And I do love a bit of British folklore. It helps that I was born and I live in the west of England, which has got a lot of kind of folklore attached to it. So, yeah, I'm very looking forward to dipping into this. I don't think this is going to be something I'm going to sit down and read in one go. This is going to be something that I think I'm going to pick up and dip into. And I love when you have books like that. Something you pick up, you read a few pages, absolutely love it, put it down and then pick it up another time. I think, dipping in sometimes really good. So that's my little mini fall book haul. Not sure what my next video's going to be about. I think I've got a bit of a rant coming on, but I won't say too much about that yet. There's a book that I'm finding very problematic, but I think it's important to leave an air of mystery, isn't there? So that's me, that's my book haul, and I'll let you know how I got on with them. If you like this, please click like below, or if you want to subscribe, click the subscribe and the bell thingy as well. Oh, you know what to do. So that's me. Thank you very much. Bye.